Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello viewers, I am Zanna Babakura, your host today on a talk show by the students of Elkanemi College of Islamic Theology, discussing the findings of the impacts of COVID-19 on the life of students. And with me today is
Zainab Muhammad Hassan. A pandemic known as COVID-19 has affected the lives of all. The rate of mortality increasing day by day, number of infected victims around the world. Some markets and places of worship are closed, schools are being shut down, all social gatherings of any kind are prohibited. COVID-19 is directly affecting the educational system. Students are a social category that has been hit hard by the coronavirus pandemic. Elkanemi College of Islamic Theology students are here today to say their views on how it made an impact in their lives. And they are
Hawa Muhammad Ahmed,
Fatima Bakar Musa, Fatima Babakar.
and from this side,
Adam Abdullah Suleiman.
Abubakar Abdullahi Ali, Muslim Sari Uzama.
starting with Abubakar Abdullahi. Abubakar, students have been talking about COVID-19, and how scary it could be. How do you respond to, in terms of like, what do you have to say with regards to COVID-19?
Well, COVID-19, this is a kind of stubborn, wicked, and worldwide problematic malady, calling attention of everyone, which it affected and prevented their minds from working and carrying out activities normally. But the problem is, we never thought the organization and institution across the globe could be stopped for several weeks or months as a result of the so-called Terminator COVID-19.
So-called Terminator COVID-19. I really like the way you stated that one, but it deserves now. It's worth terminating.
It negatively deserved.
Okay, I now get it. Let's hear from Muslim Salihu Zarma.
Well, COVID-19 belongs to a family of viruses that may cause various symptoms such as pneumonia, fever, breathing difficulty, and lung infection. The viruses are common in animals worldwide, but very few cases have been known to affect humans. The World Health Organization used the term 2019 novel coronavirus to refer to a coronavirus that affected the lower respiratory tract of patients with pneumonia in Wuhan, China, on December 2019. The official name of the virus is COVID-19, which is coronavirus disease 2019, and the current reference name of the virus is severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, which is SARS-CoV-2. It was reported that a cluster of patients with pneumonia of unknown cause was linked to a local Huanan, South China seafood market in Wuhan, Hubei province in China in December 2019.
Thank you so much, Muslim. I also do have Adam Abdullah Suleiman to help us shed more light on the concept of COVID-19.
There are a lot to say about this pandemic, but I would like to begin with the etymology of the word coronavirus. Coronavirus is derived from Latin corona, meaning crown or wreath. The name was coined by June Almeida and David Terrell, who first observed and studied the human coronaviruses, and it was first used in print in 1968 by an informal group of virologists in the journal Nature to designate the new family of viruses. Scientifically, it was named Orthocoronavirinae or coronavirinae.
Thank you so much, Adam. Let's hear from the rest of our guests.
Hawa Muhammad Ahmed. What do you have to say with regards to COVID-19?
Well, COVID-19, according to the World Health Organization, is an infectious disease caused by newly discovered coronavirus. Coronavirus is a type of common virus that infects humans, typically leading to an upper respiratory infection. Examples of coronavirus that have been reported to cause severe symptoms include MERS-CoV, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus, SARS-CoV, severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus, and the new pandemic outbreak, 2019 novel coronavirus, that is the COVID-19.
So you mean COVID-19 is just an example of coronavirus?
Yes, COVID-19 is just an example of coronavirus. Some think coronavirus is COVID-19, not knowing that COVID-19 is just an example of coronavirus.
Well, that's a laudable contribution, of course. Fatima Bakar Musa, what is your own contribution?
Well, with regards to the fact that COVID-19 is a worldwide disease, taking a major toll on the lives of people. This disease is caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. Symptoms of this disease are as follows. We have cough, fever, sore throat, and headache. In severe cases, difficulty in breathing and death can occur. Until now, there are certain facts about the virus that are yet to be discovered.
Thank you so much. Fatima Babamala, can you shed more light on what your colleague just said?
The severity of COVID-19 can range from mild to severe. Some people may have few symptoms while others may have no symptoms at all. So because of this, many people fail to believe that it is real.
Thank you so much.
Muslim, I am quite sure students' day-to-day lifestyle has changed too as a result of COVID-19. So, has the pandemic has brought any setback to your studies?
Of course, it has brought several setbacks. For instance, when we used to have one-on-one classes with lessons with our teachers, the teacher can monitor his class, but virtual learning has made it impossible to monitor things like attendance, punctuality, and discipline.
Muslim, promotional examinations of some candidates have been held back to a later time by suspending all academic activities. What do you think the most realistic outcome is, other than the most feared outcome?
Actually, the thought-provoking issue at hand is the fake and unauthorized news and publications trending on media platforms, which help in demoralizing the students, so also making them pessimistic about their potentials.
Okay, that's really sad, but it's just a reality of situation. Let's hear from the rest of our guests.
Fatima Babamala, has the closure of schools due to this pandemic brought any setbacks to your studies?
Indeed, it has brought a lot of setbacks to our studies. Students are supposed to be at school while academic activities are in progress, but unfortunately we stay at home for almost 3 months, having that optimism that everything could come back to normal. It seems like a nightmare, hoping that one could wake up from it. Normally, if not because of this pandemic, schools would have resumed third term and would have covered more than the half-term syllabus. So with this, I can conclude that it has brought a lot of setbacks to our studies.
It's surely a nightmare, of course, and we hope we are soon waking up from this nightmare. Thank you so much.
Getting to Adam Abdullahi Suleiman to share with us his experience concerning virtual learning.
I can say virtual learning is a very good improvisation that suits the situation we are in. But my question here is it all the students have access to so-called virtual learning? No. Why? Because our fingers are not equal. Some are rich while some are poor. Not all educators have smartphones, computers, and what have you, which they can use to have access to internet in following programs online. I know one may ask what of radio and television. Please tell me, how can a person that is suffering from financial incapability or crisis takes his time to follow programs on radio and television while having a single square meal is a very great deal for him? Sometimes the facilities are available but not accessible.
That's quite sure and true, but it's really sad. Thank you to hear from you, Adam.
Hawa Muhammad Ahmad, what are your views with regards to virtual learning?
While COVID-19 presents its challenges, it is also a massive opportunity to break out of old habits and create new, relevant, impactful mode of learning that take the advantage of technology. And also, higher education will become significantly more accessible as universities think on how to move all their programs online, including counseling students, career development, and so on and so forth. But the drawback to the virtual learning is the lack of socialization among students. You may be able to learn a great deal at home and on your own schedule, but your educational experience may suffer if you are not amidst of your fellow students, and most importantly, lack of access to technological facilities. Most students from disabled background, more especially those from the rural areas, do not have access to technological facilities, hence do not take part in this virtual learning.
Thank you so much.
This is really a confusing and a scary time. Abu Bakr, earlier we discussed there is an overabundance of accurate and inaccurate information trending on various media platforms, and we know details continue to change quickly. Now, concerning the pandemic, how has it been influencing students' life?
Well, COVID-19 has a vast influence on students' life. Many students around the world have lost their teachers' one-on-one support, and many young people will have experienced poverty and stress. They may have seen their family members become ill or worse, and they might have had little chance to play outside. Many children will have lost the habit that school teach them, still in a cycle, waiting your turn knowing how to listen and cooperate. More than a few will exhibit a sign of post-traumatic stress. A lot will spend hours looking at smartphones or playing video games. Many students around the world are experiencing considerable stress as a result of the transformation on how they are taught and fear of uncertain future.
Abubakar, students generally are likely to experience boredom, anxiety, frustrations, all those sorts of emotions, feel unfair, like, why does this have to happen to me? All those strange thoughts. So do you think it is okay to not feel okay and be unmotivated? Some parents, they are just strict, they question each move of their words.
Well, that very child may possibly be benefiting from social interaction more than being at home. So now under this strict condition, he or she may be experiencing some kind of psychological disorders and can ever conclude that such a student is being affected by restriction and limitation to socialization brought to fall as a result of this situation.
That's COVID-19, terminated as you just said earlier. Thank you so much.
Fatima Bukar Musa, as a student, would you say the pandemic has any influence on you?
Of course it has. COVID-19 has influenced the life of students. It has devastating effects on the educational system, whereby schools were completely closed down across the country. Hence, children were forced to remain at home. Also, owing to the fact that due to this pandemic, some of us students became lazy or no zeal or passion to read, even though some tried suppressing their minds to read, but all they got was a total failure.
But don't you think there are positive influence of this virus of our students?
Of course, COVID-19 has a positive influence on us as students. For instance, we discovered that even during this pandemic, it has been made possible for us to learn at home via technology such as the radios, televisions, and the internet. Hence, our pandemic holiday is not all wasted.
Yes, of course, with the help of the multimedias, our pandemic journey is not at all wasted. Thank you so much.
Getting to Muslim, how do you think students' life would be after resumption?
Actually, I cannot say it will be easy, but I believe they will cope with it.
With what motivation or what sort of motivation?
The motivations at hand are the virtual teachings that are going on.
Of course, that helps a lot. That helps a lot, and learning never ends. That's motto. Thank you so much, Muslim. Adam, what's your contribution to what Muslim has said?
Oh, this is serious. We will not be comfortable as we were. Many students will find it difficult to adjust to sudden changes which caused by this pandemic.
Thank you so much. That's a great contribution.
Fatima Baba Mala, how do you think students' lives after the pandemic would be?
Honestly, students' life will not be normal as it was. You see, for school to resume, there will be some issues of social distancing, in which some students will not be comfortable with. The use of hand sanitizer and the use of face masks also, in which the students will likely be allergic to it. So also, due to this pandemic, a lot of students discovered hidden potentials in them, and as such, might not resume back to school, thinking that those potentials might brighten their future more than attending schools.
But don't you think those hidden potentials they've discovered are not reliable at all?
The secret of self-discovery is the route to success, and that's what school play in our life. That's the role of school in our lives.
Well, surely the secret of self-discovery is the road to success. Thank you so much.
How do you think students' life would be after resumption? You have stated that, and I would now like to know what's your call on your colleagues and the government. Abubakar.
My call on my colleagues is I want them to be more serious, and I advise them to join the online teachers because it is very important. All our schools, colleges have closed, and the government, I advise them to continue providing materials required for the pandemic, and I advise them to continue enlightening people on how to keep themselves safe, stay safe.
Thank you so much for your valuable contribution. Let's hear from Adam.
To our colleagues, always pray and burn the midnight oil. To the government should deeply look into the predicaments of our teachers, more especially private school teachers. Although the government has been doing a lot to the people of Borno State, but still we are still appealing to, because it is now we realize the relentless efforts of our great teachers.
Of course, it's relentless and it is priceless effort. Thank you so much, Adam.
Hawa Muhammad Ahmad, what is your call and your colleagues with regards to this issue?
They should try as much as possible to abide by the rules and regulations regarding this pandemic. They should set realistic goals that they can achieve when coming up with study plan. They should not get tired of reading and attending those virtual classes. And finally, with every sense of appreciation on what the government has been doing, I'd also like to call on the government to look into the situations or problems teachers are going through as a result of closure of schools due to this pandemic, especially private school teachers, because their source of income depends mainly on students' school fees. So throughout this lockdown, teachers are not being paid their salaries in most of the private schools.
Thank you so much. Fatima Bukar Musa, what is your call on our parents?
We call on our parents to support the government and the leadership of our schools in supporting and protecting and controlling of the spread of COVID-19. They should also ensure to encourage their children in going through the virtual learning system. And finally, the government has been doing a lot for the state, and we sincerely appreciate that. But we are still appealing for the government to consider the plight of private school teachers, or possibly open a window to have access to interest-free loan for teachers. Thank you.
Fatima Babamala, what is your call on the government?
I call on the government to subsidize the rate of those protectives, such as hand sanitizer, the face masks, and the hand washing facilities. So also, this government should properly monitor the distribution of those palliatives in order to grant the vulnerable accessibility in getting them.
Thank you so much. Warm gratitude to our guests for joining us today, lending their precious time to share mind-blowing views about COVID-19 and students' lives. My fellow colleagues and our parents at home, we call on you and we encourage you to practice and maintain all preventive measures to avoid being contacted with this virus. And you should know that preventing yourself also means preventing others. Parents, students, and the government, we call on each of you to live onto your responsibilities because it is an entity, and without all of us, it becomes an entity. Well, it's time to wrap up the show. Hope you've enjoyed and benefited a lot. Thank you once again. This program is powered by ELBIRR Global Foundation in collaboration with Borno Radio Television. I remain my humble self, Zainab Muhammad Hassan, with my partner,
Zanna Babakura.
COVID-19 is real, be cautious and stay safe.
Stay safe.
Haruna Muhammad, a student of Elkanemi College of Islamic Theology. I'm here to present a poem on a life moment. A happy exclamation I made, swearing with joy, for the rendered pandemic vacation that sought to be the reason of the joy. But then, sadness crept onto my face, letting me know that surrounded issues are up to come. My eyes wandered around the room for 1,000 times. Feeling tired with idleness and having nothing to prevail on or do. My mind shouts at me to hold on my books, but the whole day freezes my body. Suddenly, I began to find another self in me, pushing itself out to make a proper existence. Failure and success stick to me as brothers during COVID-19, says the voice of students.
My name is Aisha Tijani Al-Miskin, a student of Elkanemi College of Islamic Theology. I'm here to present a poem on a pandemic journey. The journey of life is an everyday course that everybody journeys through. We students with different goals have a moment of joy, moments of sorrow, moments of achievement. Some are successful, some are victims of failure, and some moments transfigure to a new way of life. Suddenly, down came the pandemic that leaves no stone unturned. It turns children to orphans, not minding the ajabotes. From the ajabakus, big from small, old from young, rich from poor, all engulfed by its tentacles. A moment of silence can be had. Every nook and cranny locked down. A pause on movements, a pause on workforce, no school for students. A moment where animals have freedom, a humans locked down. I wish I could write to voice out my heart. Our hearts beat faster in fear, thinking that the plane of our future dreams will crash. But every day we pray Almighty that every tick and talk of our lives will yield a fruitful life. Thank you.